Have you ever been truly alone in the woods? I mean, the kind of alone where the silence itself starts to feel like it's watching you? We all know the feeling. That primal itch at the back of your neck. We tell ourselves it's just the dark, the isolation. But in the remote valleys of the Appalachians, and deep in the Ozarks, they tell stories of something else. Something that doesn't just watch from the shadows, but calls to you from them. The old-timers have a name for it. They don't speak of it often, and never after the sun goes down. They call them the whistlers, and they have one simple rule. If you hear a whistle in the woods, and you don't know where it's coming from, you do not whistle back. This is Leo.it was his first solo backpacking trip, a 3-day trek through the Cherokee National Forest. He was experienced, prepared, but as any woodsman will tell you, the forest has a way of changing the rules when you're by yourself. The first night was peaceful, but on the second, that's when he heard it. It was a whistle, clear as a bell, cutting through the night. Not a bird, not an animal he could recognize. It sounded almost human. He remembered the stories, of course. The old warnings muttered in general stores. A chill, cold and sharp, traced a path down his spine. He stayed silent. He didn't whistle back. For an hour, there was nothing. Just the return of the crickets. Leo began to relax, convincing himself it was just a weird bird, his mind playing tricks. He zipped himself into his tent, the sound of the zipper loud and final in the silence. That's when the whispering started. It knew his name. It was using a voice that was almost his girlfriend's, but wrong, like someone had learned human speech by reading about it, but had never heard it spoken. The words were slurred, the tone flat and hollow. He pressed his hands over his ears, squeezing his eyes shut. He prayed for dawn. When the sun finally rose, spilling weak, gray light through the trees, the sounds had stopped. The forest was normal again. Leo, shaking with adrenaline and lack of sleep, burst out of his tent. He had to get out. Now. He grabbed his map and compass. The quickest way out was a 2-mile hike east, to a Forestry Service road. He started walking fast, his boots pounding the earth, not daring to look back. After 20 minutes, he saw it through the trees. A flash of gray. The road. Relief, sweet and overwhelming, flooded through him. He was going to make it. And that's when he heard it one last time. Not a whisper. Not from the woods behind him. It wasn't behind him anymore. It was in front of him. It had herded him. It was waiting. He looked to his right and saw the figure. He looked to his left and heard the footsteps. He was in the middle. There was no sound now but the whistling and the crunch of gravel and the frantic, hammering beat of his own heart. Search and rescue found Leo's backpack 3 days later. It was neatly placed in the middle of the road. His tent was still set up back at his campsite. They never found a body. They listed him as missing. Presumed dead. The official report says he was likely disoriented and succumbed to exposure. But the man who led the search party, a local who's hunted those woods for 50 years, he told me something else, off the record. He said they did find one more thing, 100 yards into the woods from that backpack. So the next time you're in the deep woods, and you hear a whistle that doesn't sound quite right, remember the rule. Stay silent. Because you never know if you're the hunter, or if you're the one being called to.